What's good, my people, including my ghoulish homies and lady slaves out there? It's your boy in the building, MC Too Tall, hip hop legend, recording engineer, underground rock and roll hero, not to mention your hardcore, fierce, and sexy host of the MC Too Tall show on YouTube. Just to let you know that this is a
Illuminati is a thing you need to watch out for. They want to depopulate and slave us so much more. World domination, I'll get into that later. I'm hardcore, fierce, and sexy. You're just a hater. You deserve the ridicule because you're an absolute zero. I'm the keeper of the chalice, a rock and roll hero. I'm not an idiot nobody listens to because I'm not a failure in life like you. Let's talk about Bill Gates and the mark of the beast and the orgies in the streets at the Catholic feasts and Bill and Hillary's human trafficking ring. And George Soros got the money to pay for everything. Socialism is for losers, working for the devil. Chumps that can't fight, they ain't on my level. It takes an evil one to try to debunk and doubt it, so I'd rather die than stop talking about it. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out. Watch out for the Illuminati. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out. Watch out for the Illuminati. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out. Watch out for the Illuminati. Watch out for the Illuminati.
Okay, this is Lily, and this is MC Too Tall. This is Blondie, and you're watching the MC Too Tall show. And as you know, I am hell-bent on a mission to ruin the Democrats. Get as many removed from power as humanly possible. And if I'm ineffective at it, I will be relentless. I will be nonstop until either I become effective or until someone kills me. Yes, you will have to kill me to stop me. And that's the whole purpose of my song that I made years ago, You Can't Kill Me. And of course, I am armed with my baby blue stylus. Now, with that said, let me tell you this, buddy boy. This is not an accurate depiction of Donald Trump. He is not a brutal dictator. He's not trying to hoard the vaccine all to himself. He is not oppressing and killing marginalized groups as described in here. And he is not a violent child rapist. This is a very inaccurate depiction of Donald Trump. It's kind of like a wrong answers only type of meme. And so, with that said, we got to move on. And we got to move on to these mayoral debates. Another mayoral debate is coming tonight. Wednesday, the 22nd of October. By the way, shout out to my grand guru on life, my good friend, Nick Ferrari. He is the grand guru on life because he once told me to dump the bitch. Because there was a bitch in my life that I needed to dump. And so I dumped her and became a better man for it. He is a great man for doing that. Some would even see him as a great oracle, or as I like to describe him, a guru on life itself. But back to these mayoral debates. Tonight, October 22nd, 2025. And boy, oh boy, if this is not going to be the nail in the coffin for both Mamdani and Andrew Cuomo. I'm telling you, Rudy Giuliani, a great man of wise words, acknowledges that Curtis Sliwa won that last debate. Rudy Giuliani acknowledges that. Rudy Giuliani endorses Curtis Sliwa. So does former Governor George Pataki. George Pataki, another great man who brought New York State to greatness, while simultaneously Rudy Giuliani brought New York City to greatness. And these streets were safe. New York City was beautiful. I was able to walk around in downtown Brooklyn without getting so much of a dirty look, even. And fast forward to today, and it's like a Mad Max movie. Pretty damn sick. And it will be worse no matter which Democrat becomes mayor, because, as you know, besides Curtis Sliwa, the other two major candidates running are both Democrats. Don't tell me Andrew Cuomo's an independent. He served as a Democrat governor. And he is a Democrat running as an independent only because the Democrats have gone so loony they prefer Mamdani. Then you also have the supposed moderates, which if any even exists, but the ones who still claim moderate Democrat, that understand and actually agree with the Republicans that Andrew Cuomo was responsible for all those senior COVID deaths in 2020. You know, the ones he blamed God for. That sick bastard. So, I have no love lost for Andrew Cuomo. He is a son of a bitch bastard. He's lucky he's not in jail. And he's got the balls to run for mayor. How dare he? So many levels of hell where belong the left. And one of the members of that left who has hell that awaits him is definitely Andrew Cuomo. What a sicko. And another sicko is Zoran Mamdani. He thought it was a great idea to pose with one of the major plotters of the 1993 World Trade Center basement bombings. It claimed about 6 or 7 lives. Mamdani may as well have blown those 6 or 7 people up himself. That sicko. That piece of trash. Both Andrew Cuomo and Mamdani love, and I mean love, crime. They lust for crime. They have some sick fetish. They probably dress themselves up in black leather thongs and harnesses and whip each other at the sight of riot footage. They have a fetish for riot footage, I'm sure. They probably get into all kinds of S&M games. I mean, I'm not saying it's definite. That's why I say probably. I think this is to be so, based on how much they love crime. And I base that off of how they both love, embrace, and neither went back on their love for bail reform and no cash bail. Sickos, I tell you, both of them sickos. The anti-crime mayoral candidate is Curtis Sliwa. Public safety is priority one here in New York City, even before affordability, which Sliwa has more concrete answers on that as well, in more ways than one. But getting back to the crime thing, and I've said this in past videos, and I will say it again because it needs to be drummed into the numb skulls out there. And it needs to be said again to wake up the sleeping sheeple out there that want to be lulled to sleep by Zohar Mamdani and or Andrew Cuomo. And that is this. With public safety being priority one, number one issue, please consider that Curtis Sliwa, who was not an AG, wasn't a DA, wasn't a mayor, wasn't even a cop. He was a guy managing a McDonald's in a bad neighborhood who was sick and tired of the crime, got a dozen people together, put on red berets, and actually did something about it. And yes, it was met with some adverse reactions and some mixed reactions by the cops, adverse reactions from the mayor. Ed Koch at the time was slashing the budget, cutting back cops, definitely cutting back the cops' overtime. And so the police were overwhelmed, right? The police were overwhelmed, and the streets were running rampant with crime. And so Curtis Sliwa did something about it, got a dozen of his people together, and they formed the Guardian Angels. This happened back in 1979. This is why it's important for me to point this out. Andrew Cuomo, in those days, was a snot-nosed nipple baby, a nepo nipple baby, barely crawling out of Fordham U with his diploma in his teeth by the skin of his teeth. And Zohar Mamdani would not be born until many, many years later. So we know clearly who the choice is when dealing with public safety. It's Curtis Sliwa versus the guys that were not established yet, one of whom wasn't even born yet, who both support bail reform, no cash bail, putting violent criminals back out on the street to victimize people again, and often go back to victimize the same victims they victimized before going to jail. Those sons of bitch bastards, both the criminals and the enablers of these criminals, Zohar Mamdani and Andrew Cuomo. They're sick people, I tell you. They're a sick brood. They are a sick and violent brood. Everything is either violence or over-sexualization of virtually everything that moves. If they had their way, they would make it okay to rape nuns and children in the streets. They would make it okay to take surveys, ask people if they're Christian, and if they say yes, kill them on the spot, cut off their arms and legs, and use them as sex toys in public orgies out in the middle of the street right there and then. And you think I'm far-fetched with this? Look around. Look what you see. Violent, vicious, violent, not only anti-American, but anti-human No Kings protests. Meanwhile, they do worship a king, and that king is the epitome of evil, Lucifer himself. Remember, God good, Satan bad. And Curtis Sliwa won the last debate. Rudy Giuliani acknowledged that, and he will win this debate as well. And who are these people taking polls from? These pollsters, air quotes. These pollsters. Who are these pollsters taking polls from? People are so scared to go out in the streets. people don't want to leave their home borough because they're scared. A lot of people don't even want to leave their neighborhood because they're scared, even though they know they might have friends that also might live in semi-nice neighborhoods. They know they have to go through bad neighborhoods to visit these friends of theirs, and so they stay put in their home neighborhood. And nobody is in every neighborhood with a clipboard. I haven't seen anybody walking around Avenue U or Stillwell Avenue and 86th Street with a damn clipboard taking a survey. And if you say you have, I believe you are seeing things. And so, with that said, you know there's going to be far and few people out there. And the ones sick enough to go out in this violence are radicals that are most likely committing it. So, of course, they're going to say, I want Mamdani to be mayor. Or they're going to be old birds who support the violence, but only if the violence works in their old ass favor. And they're going to say, oh, I want Andrew Cuomo to win. Because I can re up on my Geritol. These sons of bitches. And so, that being said, of course, they're going to get numbers that are skewed. They're going to get all kinds of sick, skewed numbers. And these numbers are going to favor Mamdani, with Andrew Cuomo running a comfortable second and Sliwa in the cellar. That doesn't mean real people in the real world believe that Sliwa is the least electable of the three. Sliwa is not the least electable of the three. He is actually the only electable one of the three. Forget about being Mosa, he's the only electable of the three. While Mamdani works on trying to be delectable, and Cuomo works on trying to be the love gov, Curtis Sliwa is the only one out of the three who is actually electable. But you will have sickos that will tell you otherwise. You'll even have people in right-leaning media, and shame on them for doing it, who will tell you Curtis Sliwa doesn't have a chance. Everybody run to Andrew Cuomo. Everybody run to that person who was probably responsible for your grandmother's death. Because at least he's not as bad as Mamdani. Mamdani did not kill old ladies in nursing homes. He's a stupid, naive kid with stupid socialist ideas that don't work, never worked. There's hundreds of examples of it not working. And yes, he might be that stupid, naive kid that we don't want becoming mayor. But let's face it, he didn't kill your grandmother in a nursing home. He didn't sexually harass 24-year-old women on his staff. He didn't purposely run for public office so he could have a female staff around him that he could sexually harass. Like, who does that? It's not like I ever did that with Crown Eagle Entertainment. But Andrew Cuomo did that. He purposely would run for public office so he could have a young female staff that he could sexually harass. And this is a better candidate for mayor than Curtis Sliwa? People love Curtis Sliwa. People of all walks of life walk up to Curtis Lewa, they shake his hands, and more often than even shake his hands, will throw their arms around him, give him a big hug. You got people that walk up to him in tears, saying, "Man, I remember when I was down and out and on drugs, and you approached me, and you helped me turn my life around." You see people that were former hardened thugs about to go into a long life of crime and started on a life of crime already, approaching Curtis Slewa with in tears years later saying thank you. That is the God's honest truth. So, besides Rudy Giuliani and George Pataki endorsing Curtis Slewa, not to mention this influential being right here, yours truly, master of sound quality MC2 Tool, other good quality influential human beings that endorse Curtis Slewa include State Senator Steve Chan, U.S. Congressional Representative Nicole Maliotakis, U.S. Congressional Representative and inevitable future Governor of New York Elise Stefanik, and that's just to name a few. Unfortunately, Sid Rosenberg elected to scratch himself off that list of fine names of fine people who are still endorsing him, but he is not. He threw in the towel. Now, I'm going to say respectfully again, Sid Rosenberg, I believe you are wrong. I believe you are inaccurate, and I believe you should no longer comment on Curtis Slewa anymore. Until you change your position again, you should no longer comment on Curtis Slewa, because we're on the winning team. As I said in my lyrics of the PHO song, you know what it is already. Armageddon, bring it on. I'm on the winning team. I'll blow that 666 ass in the smithereens. And I'm referring to the evils who oppose all that I stand for. People like supporters of Mamdani and supporters of Andrew Cuomo, they are evil human beings. They are evil, cowardly human beings, especially the Cuomo supporters. There are people that actually believe that Andrew Cuomo is a reasonable, middle-of-the-road kind of guy. This is the guy that rang the bell for late-term abortions. Ding, 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 ding. Empowering women. No, taking advantage of confused women that don't know what to do and convincing them it's a great idea to rip their baby out of the womb and throw it in the garbage and or granulate it into some kind of serum, some witch doctor voodoo powder that you mix with water and inject it to an old man as a supposed cure for Alzheimer's. Get out of here with that bullshit. No adult human being should have a granulated baby injected in them. That is some sick voodoo witch doctor bullshit. And shame on modern science as a whole for entertaining that. And scientifically, mathematically, you should say, fuck the mathematicians, fuck the scientists, vote with your heart, vote for Curtis Slewa, because He's a great man. He is as moral as John A. Krantz. You know who John A. Krantz is? That's me talking about myself in third person because I love to do that. I have every right to do that. And it will keep a Democrat from gaining power. That's another thing. Let's not forget the main mission here is to remove Democrats from power and or keep them from gaining power. Okay? So by not electing Andrew Cuomo, you're keeping a Democrat out of power. By not electing Zohran Mamdani, you're keeping a Democrat out of power. Don't say these are the socialists, these are the radicals, these are the progressives, these are the liberals, these are that, blah, blah, blah. Everything left of center is a sicko. Call them all Democrats, and they're all sickos. Take them out of power and keep them out of power. That is the mission. And do it carefully. You don't want no wishy-washy freaking milquetoast Republican up in there neither, because they might as well be a Democrat. Republicans that try to be bipartisan, we don't want them either. Okay? What we want is to keep the Democrats out of power, to remove them from power and to keep them out of power. That is the mission. And if I'm ineffective with these YouTube videos, I will relentlessly keep going until I am effective or until somebody kills me. And as I said at the beginning of the video, you will have to kill me to stop me from my mission to be of some sort of influence and have some sort of hand and act as some sort of conduit or tool in removing Democrats from power and keeping them out of power. They are the axis of evil. And you are going to see our grand savior of New York, Curtis Sliwa, raise his proverbial sword of public safety and housing affordability to take on the two-headed beast, Zohran Mamdani and Andrew Cuomo. It must be done, man. It must be done. And just watch those debates tonight. Look it up in your local listings, where to find them. I'm sure you could find the debate online. It is tonight. I believe it's right around 7 p.m., if I'm not mistaken. But it is tonight, and I recommend you check it out. And while you're at it, folks, respect God, watch out for the Illuminati, like, follow, share, comment, subscribe, stay strong, keep kicking that slang. It's your boy in the building, hip-hop legend, recording engineer, underground, rock and roll hero, your hardcore, fierce, and sexy host that is never gross, MC Too Tall. Watch the debate tonight, yeah?